Ohio State travels to Oregon for the first time in, I don't know, like close to 50 years, maybe more than 50 years. This is a ball game. All right. When you got a Big Ten where there are no longer divisions, that determine whether or not you appear in the Big Ten championship, games like this matter a lot. Now, here's the thing: Oregon's hosting. Ohio State is still laying 3 points here on the road against an Oregon team that I believe is pretty good. But we'll pick this game at 3.5. There's threes, 3.5s on the board. I don't like pushes on this show. I really don't. So we'll pick this thing at 3.5. And I'm inclined to believe that Ohio State's the best team in the country. And I know you're like, okay, well, why are you saying that about Ohio State? And you're not saying that about Texas, because it feels like neither of them have played, really, really good teams. Ohio State's better on defense, all right, and they've shown that they're better on defense, and they have much more talent. And also, Ohio State has hardly opened up the playbook at all. I mean, they haven't even used Will Howard on the ground game. Like, what happens when you get that guy moving downhill? I mean, you got two running backs that are absolutely fantastic who, are both projected to have, I think their lines are like at 55 and 63.5 yards against, an Oregon front seven that kind of got massacred against Gianti way back when, what was it, week 2 or 3? Yeah, I like Ohio State in the spot. I know Oregon's a good football team, but Dylan Gabriel, I mean, Oregon's offensive line, I feel like, has underwhelmed me just a little bit. I feel like Jordan James, that running back, has underwhelmed me a little bit. I think Ohio State might put a beat down on Oregon, and I'm not going to take these as my best bets, like someone else in the show. But I'm willing to pick Ohio State, and I'll lay 3.5 for the sake of our picking the games on this show.
I'm with you here. I will say this though about Oregon, they have gradually gotten better and better, I think, every week. And I guess we didn't really talk about it too much with them or really factor in. They brought in a lot of new pieces there that they're slowly working in. And the beauty of their schedule is they had a chance to build up to this game. Same thing with Ohio State, right? But they returned a ton of pieces, well, excluding their quarterback position. But they had a chance, Oregon did, to build up to this game, to save a lot of this game. And also, they're coming off, I think they played last Friday. So they have not only the extra day rest, but they don't have to travel across the country. Here's the thing, though. In a game like as big as this, and a team as deep and talented as Ohio State, and it sounds to be like they're on a mission this year, I don't quite factor in the travel schedule for them as much as I would for maybe like Penn State going all the way to LA, right? Or we saw USC going to Michigan and Minneapolis a couple times now. I just think the depth and talent of coaching, experience, veteran, all that other stuff that you love to have on the road, especially a long road trip, Ohio State has that and then some. You mentioned it, man. Their offense, it's been awesome. It's been the Jeremiah Smith. It's been Emeka Buka last week having great times, putting up monster numbers. But yeah, I think there's still gas left in the tank for Chip Kelly there, not only with Will Howard, but how creative they can be with Judkins, with Henderson, and Howard back there, as well as just the freak amount of talent they have defensively. I think they can really kind of grind out Oregon. I wonder how Dylan Gabriel holds up against a big athletic front like Ohio State. He's not the biggest dude, right? And you're going to see batted balls. You can see a lot of pressure, especially up the middle, that could give him some problems that we haven't quite seen other teams maybe force upon him. Very efficient, very veteran. Things you love in Dylan Gabriel, absolutely. But there are some limitations. There's a reason why he's still in college and not quite in the NFL yet. We'll see if Ohio State and Jim Knowles can take advantage of them. I think they do. I don't know if I say blowout, but I do think, right, I do think at least a touchdown, right? I think this line is a little bit low, and I know it's scary taking a team on the road going this far in a big-time moment like this, and Eugene, Oregon is going to be bonkers. Bonkers. You got 2 versus 3 here. Obviously, you mentioned the impact this has in the Big Ten, especially with the schedules that these two teams play. Ohio State still has to play Michigan, still has to play Indiana. I can't believe I just said that. Still has to play Penn State. right? And Oregon has their own battles as well ahead with Illinois and Michigan and Washington potentially to end the season. So yeah, it's a lot can go wrong here for both teams. A win is massive, not only in securing a potential playoff spot, but also a spot in the Big Ten championship. And like we saw Oregon a couple years ago. I know it was a different roster for both of these teams, even different coaching staff. I think Dan Lanning wasn't quite there yet for Oregon, but they came into Columbus, the Horseshoe, a couple years ago, right? And they stomped Ohio State there. And I think, right, I think some of that staff, I think some of those players, they for sure remember that. I think they'll take it a little bit personally and they'll go on the road and get a win here at Oregon. This is a game we've been circling, it sounds like, for months now, man. For months, it's finally here. I cannot wait. So happy. 6:30 NBC prime time. What a treat for NBC to get that in the Big Ten. I mean, yeah, like I got that right there on the head. If you're watching on YouTube, it. This is why, like, I was against conference expansion, right? I'll say that, but this is an awesome benefit, right? A regular season game like this, right? We'll see with Texas and Georgia in a couple weeks, right? Like this is why we love college football. I hope this game means so much to these players as fans because I think it does, and the sanctity of the regular season of college football. Sorry for my little tangent there, but yeah, I cannot wait as a fan, right? Just sit back, sit down on the couch, tune everything else out. Nothing else matters, but Ohio State going on to take Oregon.
Yeah, I agree with everything there. I do want to add 2 points, though. So you mentioned Dylan Gabriel, if he gets interior pressure, how it can affect him. I agree with you on that. However, last year, remember we said the same thing about Texas, right? And,
Yeah.
T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy. And we were like, oh, they're going to have interior pressure. Dylan Gabriel is going to struggle. And, well, he played his best game of the entire season. Because but they schemed around. They got him outside of the pocket. But here's the thing. Texas did not have the edge rushers that Ohio State does. Jack Sawyer, 18 pressures already. JT Tuimoloau. I mean, he's also nuts on his own. So I don't know if you're going to be able to roll him out of the pocket, right, with those athletic edge rushers the way that you were able to do against Texas. And then also, Oregon has struggled in the red zone this year on offense. And in a game where the spread is 3 points, I get that you're at home. But Ohio State's red zone defense and defense in general is nuclear. Now, I hope that we don't come back. Oregon drops 40 points, and we're like, all right, what a terrible take by us. I think this Ohio State defense was good, but it's good. All right, just believe us when we tell you that it's really good. They're going to shut down Oregon in the red zone. Dylan Gabriel's going to have problems. I don't know. These wide receivers might get some separation, but I don't believe that they're going to run the ball that well. I think it's going to be one of those games where you realize the limitations of Dylan Gabriel. So yeah, I'm with you. Let's lay Ohio State 3.5.
Can I ask you this real quick? We talked about how Ohio State has been holding things. Do you think it's similar that Oregon has? I mean, I look at a guy like Evan Stewart, and we talked a lot off season, like not only about him, but this whole wide receiver group in general, right? Is it just a byproduct of maybe the offense kind of getting a slow start with him, or you've got an elite running back like Jordan James, you can just turn around, hand the ball to him, and win a lot of football games? Are we going to see a guy like Evan Stewart, right? Maybe Jurion Dickey, maybe some guys break out like that to be able to because Ted Johnson can't do it all, right? You have to believe that Ohio State, Denzel Burke, right? Caleb Downs, like they got elite secondary guys back there to be able to take him away. They're going to need other guys to step up. It has to be Stewart, right? Is that it's got to be Stewart?
Yeah, I mean, because Gary Bryant's injured. He's not going to be there, right? That's a guy that you thought might be explosive coming over from USC a couple years back, but yeah, Tez Johnson has double the amount of targets anyone else in this team has. Okay, so you know that they're circling him. You're right. He can't do it by himself. And I know it's really easy for Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel loves his slot receivers. Yeah, that's another aspect too. Like, I don't know that they're holding Evan Stewart back. I mean, Tez Johnson, on his 52 targets, he's caught the ball 42 times. That's a pretty good ratio right there. But his average depth of target's only 5 yards. So the issue is, like, if you're getting Tez Johnson the ball right there, like, he's really effective with the ball in his hands, but Ohio State defenders are just so much of a better athlete. Like, you have to stretch the field.
Those linebackers, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
you have to stretch the field. You're right. With Evan Stewart, right? With Trayshawn Holden. I don't know about Jurian Dickey. I mean, he's had one target all year. I think Terrence Ferguson's going to be a weapon in this game that they have to utilize. Like, Tez Johnson, yeah, he's not going to win this football game. I mean, he could have 8, 9 targets in this game, but it's just he can't do it alone. All right, I know he's really good, but they need more. They need more.